This is a video tutorial about writing systems of equations from context, and this is meant to be a tutorial to help you with this assignment. I know I can't get to everybody in the classroom, but maybe you'll find these videos helpful. So let's just look at a few examples. All right, so this first one says that Samuel went to the grocery store and he purchased cans of soup and frozen dinners. So already we have our two variables. Each can of soup has 300 milligrams of sodium, and each frozen dinner has 450 milligrams of sodium. Samuel purchased 5 more frozen dinners than cans of soup, and they collectively contain 6,000 milligrams of sodium. Write a system of equations that can be used to determine the number of cans of soup purchased and the number of frozen dinners purchased. Define your variables. Okay, so first thing here, let me highlight the variables. So we have, it wants us to write a system that can be used to determine the number of cans of soup purchased and the number of frozen dinners purchased, okay? So when you consider your variables, you need to be sure when you select the drop-down menu that you're selecting what says the number of cans of soup, and the other one is the number of frozen dinners purchased. Now for my example, and I can't really click on it, but I'm just gonna call my variables S and D, so soup, and actually I'll call it F for frozen dinners, okay? All right, now, and then you'll define your variable, okay? Just click on the drop-down menu. So I don't have access to it, but S and F, the number of soups, and F is the number of frozen dinners. All right, now, Samuel, we know that each can is 300 milligrams, each soup is 300 milligrams of sodium, and the dinner is 450 milligrams, okay? Samuel purchased 5 more frozen dinners than cans of soup. We'll get back to that in a second. And they all collectively contained 6,000 milligrams of sodium. So the 6,000 milligrams of sodium is based on how much milligrams per our variables. So our first equation we could write would be, let's see, we have 300 milligrams per can of soup plus 450 milligrams or cans of soup per dinner or frozen dinner. And all of that is equal to 6,000 milligrams, okay? And then we also know, or this other statement is the other equation, and it says Samuel purchased 5 more frozen dinners than cans of soup. Okay, this is the tough one. Samuel purchased 5 more frozen dinners than soup. So ask yourself, which one is more, the frozen dinners or the soup? He has 5 more frozen dinners. So we know that it's more dinners. 5 more frozen dinners than soup. Well, the dinners is more, but it's very specifically 5 more than the soup. So our other equation is going to be the frozen dinners is more, it's actually 5 more than the soup. So we would say soup plus 5. All right, so that would be your system of equations. And be sure to define your variables correctly. All right, let's take a look at another one. Okay, in this example, we're actually looking at the concept of commission. So I definitely want to help you out with this one. And you may not have this exact one, but you might have one similar. All right, so Hal works at an electronics store as a salesperson. Hal earns 9% commission on the total dollar amount of all phone sales she makes, and earns 6% commission on all computer sales. Hal made a total of $1,700 in sales and earned $135 in commission. Write a system of equations that can be used to determine the dollar amount of phone sales, Hal made and the dollar amount of computer sales she made. All right. So let me first of all just highlight that we're talking about determining the dollar amount of phone sales and the dollar amount of computer sales. So when you go to identify or to define your variables, be sure you click correctly in the drop-down menu. Okay, and for the sake of this one, I'm going to call the dollars of phone sales P and the dollars of computer sales C. All right, now let's keep reading, or let's look at our equations. All right. Again, you will pick the correct drop-down menu based on what I've highlighted here. Now, she earns 9% commission on total dollar amount of phone sales and earns 6% of commission in computer sales. So when we talk about 9% commission, that is a decimal, 9%. So as a decimal, that would be 0.09. And we would multiply that times the dollar amount of phone sales, which in our example is P. All right. And it also says that she earns 6% commission on computer sales. So we're going to add 6%, which is 0.06 times the computer sales. And all of her commission, it says she earned $135 in commission. So this would equal $135. Okay. Now, it also says that she earned a total of she made a total of $1,700 in sales. So that's the dollar amount. Well, remember our variables represents the dollar amount. So the dollar amount of phone sales and the dollar amount of computer sales equals 1,700. So that would be our other equation. I'm going to start with P. The dollar amount of phone sales plus the dollar amount of computer sales was $1,700. All right. So that would be your system of equations. Okay, one more example. So taking a look at this one, this says Logan owns a trucking company. For every truck that goes out, Logan must pay the driver $16 per hour of driving and also has an expense of $1.25 per mile driven for gas and maintenance. On one particular day, the driver drove an average of 20 miles per hour, and Logan's total expense for the driver, gas, and truck maintenance were $205. Write a system of equations that could be used to determine the number of hours the driver worked and the number of miles the truck drove. Define your variables. Okay, so we have determined the number of hours the driver worked. So I'm going to call that H. And again, you will select the correct drop-down menu. H will be the number of hours the driver worked and the number of miles the truck drove. So I'm going to call that M. And then you will select the correct one. Well, you may not have this exact question. I'm just trying to give you an example, but you have to select the correct drop-down. Now let's talk about writing the systems based on using our variables H and M. Okay, what we know is that on a particular day, the driver drove 20 miles per hour and Logan's total expense for the driver, gas, and truck was $205. So when we look at the $16 per hour and $1.25 per mile, and we add all that up, it has to equal $205. So we're going to say the $16 per hour plus the $1.25 per mile has to equal $205 on this particular day. Now, also on this particular day is that the driver drove an average of 20 miles per hour. Okay, now let's think about 20 miles per hour. So we write that as 20 miles per hour, or MPH. Okay, MPH. Now, if we know that the driver drove an average of 20 miles per hour, We don't know how many hours, but we know every hour he was going 20 miles. 20 miles per hour. So we know that the M, the miles, is 20 per hour. So every hour this person is going 20 miles. So to figure out the total of miles that we would have to charge $1.25 to, okay, that miles is based on the 20 per the hour. All right, so your other equation then would be M is equal to 20 per H. All right, so that is your system of equations to solve this one. And that is a quick review of 3 of those. Hopefully you find these helpful.